Recording is in progress. I've got our screenshots, so now I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to you, Lloyd.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So as always, we are starting our Indigenous Global Unity Summit event every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Here in Toronto, EST, Eastern Time. This is now week 23, and we start these events each week by acknowledging those who came before us on this land. So I would like to say land acknowledgement. We begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples, and we recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we're committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, and is now home to many diverse peoples. We'd also like to acknowledge the land we are on as at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We would thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. Now this week is a little bit different because it is November 11th and here in the colonies, or the former colonies of Britain and England, it is Remembrance Day. So in recognition of our fallen soldiers, because it is Remembrance Day here in Canada as well, we will have a minute of silence at the start of our meeting. So I ask that everyone please mute your microphones and reflect on the anniversary of the Armistice Agreement of 1918 that ended the First World War. Thank you very much. So I put into the chat actually some information about the Canadian Remembrance Day ceremonies, this yearly ceremonial that takes place every year to remember our fallen soldiers. So this has been going on. I believe this year is actually the 100th anniversary of the Remembrance Day poppies. So I would like to also give recognition as we start out today to our supporters, in particular the Edfu Foundation, but you will also see, and I will share my screen now. In our logo here, you will see, for instance, the Maui Aloha Project, 5 Points Youth Foundation, the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board Goodwill Ambassadors, Andrew Networks, Future of the Foundation, the Global Women's Development Network, Global Peace Let's Talk, the Community Development Foundation, the American International Education Federation, and many more. So I just want to say that the Foundation.
Well, Lloyd, before you go forward, if you go back one step, we do have a guest, special guest here, Miriam Khan, and she's representing the International and Indigenous Women's Day Conference of next year, as well as the Community Development Foundation. And I'm here representing the Future Live Foundation from South Africa, as well as the American International Education Federation with Dr. Tamara. So all of us are here in support. Thank you so much, Floyd. I'll be quiet and let you go ahead.
Yeah, actually, that's a good reminder, Andrew, as well. I'm scheduled to have a call with Mariam in the near future, perhaps something that you may be able to facilitate is a conversation to see if there's a way we can leverage this IGU Summit event series as well to help promote the International Women's Day 22 event as well.
Thank you so much, sir, and good evening from my side to all.
Thank you, Mariam. You're doing wonderful work.
And the short answer is yes, Lloyd, we can, and we will.
Yes, sir. With your kind support, definitely we will present soon. The final strategic plan for IIWDC 2022.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So again, our sponsors include the Edfu Foundation as the primary sponsor, supporting the Global Unity Network initiative through May 26, 2022. Although Edfu sponsors this platform, it is actually Andrew Networks that donates the actual hosting and promotional support services, where Edfu supports transforming our world through sustainable development, or the Agenda 2030. They are also partnered with several individuals, organizations, companies, and tribes around the world in order to help the world achieve equality and to heal. Specifically, the activities of Edfu Foundation are to help organizations improve their performance and grow by solving problems and finding new and better ways of doing things through the analysis of existing organizational structures and the development of innovative and effective plans for improvement. Andrew Networks is a brand and domain name owned by ParXTC Export Trading Company, comprising social media channels, Facebook pages, TRN TV, international news, the Universal Citizens Media Networks, Conversations with Andrew Williams Jr., the AJ Action Team, and the Encounter Think Tank Group. Again, I will put in to the chat some of the information there. Oops. Okay. Edfu Foundation, as well as ParXTC and Andrew Networks. So Andrew also founded the ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, Advocates, and Activists, of which I'm a member, and registered the domain name on September 21st, 2019, with a focus on localizing the Sustainable Development Goals during this decade of action and delivery on the SDGs 2020-2030, resulting from the appointment of regional representatives, beginning with Janice Da Silva for Cabo Verdes, ECOWAS, and Lusophone, or the Portuguese-speaking countries. Andrew later appointed other representatives, including myself, for Canada, the Francophonie, and Commonwealth of Nations countries, and Turtle Island was later added this year, and that was originally published on January 1st, 2020. So here is, again, in the chat, link for the ambassadors. So I am with Energym University. My name is Lloyd Helfey. I'm the Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, and Sustainable Society Consultant for Energym University Canada. Energym University being a private company that was created to help empower global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance to their local environments. Energym does this by designing and implementing projects that support a strong and diversified local economy by integrating core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into these communities. Within this framework, their systems are able to create renewable energy, high density food growth, manage local waste streams, and manage and protect local water resources. So Energym is supported by over 375 companies whose products and technologies they employ. Energym University also supports local education and training in the construction, deployment, and maintenance of these integrated technological solutions for achieving closed-loop systems that in turn support self-sufficient, sustainable communities. Again, I will put in chat the information that you will see on the screen here. So the We Energime Global Cooperation Turtle Island organization. I am also a co-founder and administrator of this international group that's seeking basically to undertake what we call life value peace education in the context of life learning gardens, as we call it. So again, in the chat, we will put the Facebook URL that you see on the screen there. And now I am also, as mentioned earlier, a Goodwill ambassador for the 5 Points Youth Foundation based in Los Angeles, with that portfolio that covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. As a member of this ad hoc international advisory board, we are seeking to empower our communities to engage with royal, Indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as interfaith, neighborhood, and business collaboratives, which are seeking to leave no one behind. So this is a large part of the group or of the work we do within the Ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, and now as well, of course, the Indigenous Global Unity Network that we're building is the work to actually assemble these interfaith neighborhood and business collaboratives. So this is actually the Global Unity Business Group, of which I am a co-founder, which came together as a coalition of small businesses in order to establish, manage, and grow what we call the Global Unity Network. So the business group is a humanitarian enterprise and global sustainable and regenerative development corporation supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure set up as life learning gardens. So the Global Unity Business Group, as I said, promoting this open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure set up as life learning gardens. We do this along with a hybrid virtual learning platform that we call the VCN, or Interchange for Peace. So the Global Unity Business Group created in order to formalize this process of localization of global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, which is being done by the establishment of the Global Unity Network, which so far includes Unity Gardens Network, Unity Learning Network, along with the Unity Health Network, and Indigenous Global Unity Network, and many other dedicated Unity networks, as we call them, with all of them being important components of our what we call network of networks that comprise the entirety of the Global Unity Network. So the Global Unity Network was created to showcase global cooperation for the implementation of local regenerative solutions to achieving the global goals, starting with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So our goal is to help uplift the traditionally marginalized communities that are mostly being left behind because the existing economic paradigm is very much focused on making money, and especially of extracting wealth from those who are already wealthy. And therefore, the majority of people on Earth are mostly being ignored by our existing highly competitive economy. So our focus is thus on the billions of people who exist or subsist on the economic sidelines, where we intend to start our work by delivering solutions for people and communities in some of the least developed countries and economies that are the most food insecure, like Sierra Leone, Zambia, Nepal, and Bangladesh, and many others. So the Global Unity Network is promoting the delivery of practical solutions to achieving the global goals, starting with the Sustainable Development Goals during this SDG period until 2030, using the tools of humanitarian entrepreneurship, focusing on what we call female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs and enterprises, along with this hybrid virtual and hands-on education and training learning program with the primary focus again on humanitarian entrepreneurship, skills training in practical settings, or what we call practicum learning, along with leveraging various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions to establish the local Unity Garden classrooms in all the local communities across Africa and around the world that can be used for the local and remote and virtual delivery of the practicum learning programs for the female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs to learn how to grow, process, cook, market, sell, and trade the various types of regenerative climate smart food and related nutritional and medicinal and other types of locally produced regenerative products, both within their own local communities, as well as regionally, nationally, continentally, and even internationally, or globally, in order to produce income and therefore greater prosperity for all the people of the continent of Africa and around the world, leaving no one behind. So the Global Unity Network, at the same time, we promote using the various practical tools of the modern fourth industrial revolution, combined with the deep indigenous knowledge of both our ancestors and the living indigenous people of this earth in order to share the abundance of this planet and learn from each other in order to create productive, regenerative, climate smart landscapes wherever we may live, in and around each and all of our local communities, that will help to restore nature and biodiversity, ensure abundance for all, and ultimately restore the human connection to Mother Earth as proper stewards of our one and only beautiful planet. So the virtual collaborative network that we're creating. So this is a hybrid learning model that we are delivering through both the Unity Gardens for hands-on experiential practical learning, as well as through this digital VCN that essentially bundles all of the various functions of individual websites into a single site or a collaborative portal that allows all of the virtual digital learning to be delivered alongside a place where e-commerce can also take place. In other words, like an all-in-one platform for trade, for commerce, for learning, bundled into a single site. So the VCN uses something called the Digital Collaborator Engine, intended to turbocharge the networking, exchange, trade, and education delivery capabilities of and for the members of the network. It's also called a PXN, or Partner Exchange Ecosystem. So digital collaboration technology will help organizations in 6 areas of digital transformation, including digital leadership, digital strategy, customer intimacy, business service design, agile transformation, and health check analysis of their organizations. We believe that this platform can help every organization become an agile organization for the 21st century, helping them to move beyond the current health pandemic. So the transformational networking tools are being designed to change the trajectory of performance, organizational health, and one other critical value building element around capabilities, or the hard and soft skills needed to help organizations reach and sustain their full potential. So the VCN is intended to be a stepping stone, of course, toward what's called a new vision of the internet, metaverse, which of course has a lot of coverage recently with the renaming of Facebook to the new corporate name Meta, which actually refers to the metaverse concept. Again, I can chat a little bit of information about the metaverse. So coming to the INVCs, so the business group, we're managing the Global Unity Network geographically by helping to create localized country, regional, and continental UnityNet local business development networks, which serve to manage the local and community networks. So the regional and continental networks of the Unity Network will organize themselves according to the concepts and principles of sociocracy. So we will assist communities in the establishment of local and regional community engagement teams called INVCs, or Interfaith Neighborhood and Business Collaboratives. But the primary purpose of both the business and the network is to practice and promote the process of localization of the global goals, specifically by promoting processes that can help local communities establish partnerships as per SDG 17 that will support local humanitarian entrepreneurs who are dedicated to implementing the various local regenerative community-based enterprise solutions for achieving the global goals. And one more time, I'll put in quickly a link about the concept of sociocracy.
Oh, it works.
So the Global Unity Network, the purpose of the Global
There's
Unity
one
Network.
also, Global Unity Indonesia. So we can sign up for that.
Could I ask if people could mute themselves? Thank you. So the purpose of the network, our goal is to support, uplift through especially the delivery of learning programs, or the practical hands-on education and training, and promote all of the youth, female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs around the world who either have or wish to implement replicable regenerative solutions for achieving the global goals, starting, of course, with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we focus on regenerative solutions that can be localized one community at a time, starting with the least developed communities and economies, by working with the people who have been most forgotten and marginalized with the intention of leaving no one behind. Our philosophy is that machines are not the economy. People doing things is what makes an economy what it is. If we can lift people from poverty, or better yet, empower them to lift themselves from poverty, we will have automatically injected new life into what we call the economy. So the goal of the Global Unity Network is therefore uplifting the bottom billions. Our ultimate goal being teaching people how to feed themselves the climate smart way. If we think of the old saying, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, and you'll feed him for a lifetime. So the Global Unity Network is all about teaching the women especially and youth to fish, so they no longer need to go begging to be fed the next day when they're hungry again and possibly can't afford to buy that next fish, because that next fish will likely not be given to them, but would instead need to be earned, which is essentially a subtle form of slavery or debt slavery through a system that also ensures enclosure of the commons, what's called the legal process of land title, intellectual property rights, and patents. So that's why we promote and demonstrate open source solutions, as in open source regenerative climate smart food growing infrastructure set up as Unity Garden classrooms initially, with schools, with universities, with colleges, with high schools, etc. So the Unity programs, we're supporting the work. We work in partnership with the Unity programs of the Unity Network organizations that have been established and continue to be established around the world to deliver the projects, the campaigns, the events, such as the Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting ceremonies, the Sunlight Spectacle virtual edutainment events and shows, along with the Indigenous Global Unity Summit events, like we are having today. And this will take place up until Africa Day next year. As well as in the future, we wish to as well facilitate what we call coordinated international bubble fund festivals. So also working in support, of course, with our friend here on the line, the Global Women's Development Network. So as noted, we're supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure set up as Lifeline Gardens, designed for the delivery of hands-on practical learning programs supporting all manner of life value peace education. So those Unity Gardens include CSV Gardens, Victory Forest, Climate Smart Kitchens, Spark Learning Centers, or as we call them also, Climate Smart Education and Training Centers, as well as Wheel of Life Farm Schools, which are something that we're hoping will soon be developed. Our projects include what we call sacred site and watershed mapping, something called the CTP program, or Collaborative Tree Planting Initiative, for twinning communities, collaboration for the development of a system of payments for ecosystem services, using digital tokens of exchange for certified climate smart products that help to permanently sequester carbon, and that are made by these humanitarian organizations that are helping to implement these global goals, the solutions for achieving the SDGs. So some other key campaigns included dream boards in every community, a campaign to establish local community dream boards, where we help to mobilize the youth to help turn their dreams into reality, along with the tea diplomacy initiative that connects local farmers, growers, and entrepreneurs across geographies and among members of communities that may not otherwise ever get a chance to talk to each other and get to know each other as people. So the idea is to sit down, even if only virtually, have tea, relax, and discuss local solutions to global problems like food security, hunger, climate change, the environment, peace, security, and well-being for people in each of our own local communities. The people who are participating would also discuss what kinds of teas they like to drink, what unique teas they grow in their own local communities or region, and how important those teas are to their local people and cultures. So we will hope that this tea diplomacy initiative will launch very soon. So UnityNet Africa, I need to mention this, our first continental Unity Network development network, also called Unity Network Africa and Diaspora. So UnityNet Africa and Diaspora Open Forum, originally established on October 13th, in order to help coordinate the activities in all of the global Unity Network countries across Africa. 1 week later, on October 20th, another meeting was held, more members of the Africa group in attendance, and following that meeting, a vote was held, and the name was changed to Unity Network, or UnityNet Africa and Diaspora, which is intended to be a safe place or space for cooperative discussion with others in the global Unity Network as we develop the Continental Network, our first, for all of the people of Africa, for eventual replication across all other countries worldwide, starting with the least developed countries, communities, and economies, or what we call the LDCCEs. The initial board of directors for the African Continental Unity Network, Africa and Diaspora, was decided, and those members are listed in this slide, along with the board of directors that has confirmed official advisory board. That includes Shepi Mwatlong from South Africa, Peter Ongara from Kenya, Andrew Williams Jr. on this call, chairperson by the AHIABGA in the USA, Nancy Amoy and Sylvia Kirchia Bangura from Sierra Leone, and Samson Ulach, the country chairperson of Tukatane in Kenya, who helped to start the original UnityNet Africa group discussion back in September. Carlos Richard Sancos from UnityNet Sierra Leone is the new Continental president. And Dr. Mary Ifani, sorry, I don't have the good pronunciation, from Nigeria is the West Africa region vice continental president. So Sierra Leone is actually one of the oldest global Unity Network chapters, where there are now 10 trees of peace and reconciliation already planted in the communities across the country, which now serve as a precursor for the creation of the local INBCs and the establishment of the Unity Garden classroom infrastructure. So the new board of directors of UnityNet Africa Diaspora was put together in a way, as well as if you look to try to represent the 6 regions of Africa, the 5 physical regions, plus the diaspora, as per SDG 5 gender equality as well, with a selection process made an attempt to achieve gender balance of the board of directors for the African Unity Network by ensuring that about half of the board members and leaders were women. So this team is now working in cooperation with the existing Global Unity Network country chapters in Africa to create a model for the development of a continental and regional network of networks of the Global Unity Network by working with the grassroots people in the country chapters. So once a model is developed, they'll try to replicate the process of creating country chapters across all 54 African nations, possibly also by liaising with, for instance, the African Union. But we believe that the African success will not just be for Africa, but will also be for other continents and countries as well worldwide, where we will focus our efforts, as always, on the least developed countries, communities, and economies, and those communities that will be furthest left behind, as per the concept of LNOB, which again, I will provide some information in the chat about no one behind. So we are now also having discussions among the leadership of the Global Unity business operations, especially here in the Greater Toronto area, about how we can link the North American or the Turtle Island and the African agendas across time and space, and to link our programs together in a way that makes sense for everyone. We're thus developing what we're calling a reverse CTP program, modeled on the original CTP program developed by Tata and Mark in 2019. I highly appreciated the involvement of Carlos from the Global Secretariat and leadership team during our discussions about the establishment of the business group, which has its home in Canada, but with strong support and involvement from Sierra Leone, Kenya, and the United States of America. I'd also like for everyone on this call today to consider joining one of our groups that are also critical to the Global Unity Network, including, of course, the main social media discussions for Global Unity Network that have been created by the Global Unity Business Group, which is, as noted, a humanitarian enterprise and global sustainable and regenerative development corporation, supporting and promoting the local delivery of open source, regenerative, climate smart infrastructure, set up as like learning gardens or Unity gardens. So again, in the chat, I will put information about our public group. So I also wanted to mention as well some important nodes of the network, especially critical parts, including Regenerative Living, Learning and Lifestyle Network, the Unity Learning Network, Unity Health Network, the Unity Eco Village Network, the Indigenous Global Unity Network, Unity Environment Network, the Unity Biodiversity Network, and will be developing even more essential nodes in the network, including a Peace Centers Network, a Children's and Youth Network, a Smart Communities and Smart Cities Network, a Social Business Network, a Climate Smart Tourism Network, of course aligning with the Tourism for SDGs mandate, and a Women's and Feminist Network as well for our humanitarian entrepreneur, business owners, and managers to exchange tips, tricks, and ideas among themselves. So again, for the chat, I will put in some of the links to these organizations that are important to our networks. In summary, the humanitarian entrepreneurship learning programs that we're supporting are very much focused on engaging youth, educators, and decision makers in the learning programs and community engagement processes, with a strong emphasis on women and girls as leaders in their communities and also of their homes and families as per SDG 5 gender equality, with the goal of our business and network to eventually establish what we call a new 21st century economy of compassion and cooperation, and the recognition of life value as being fundamentally more important than money value, where money is just that fictional construct created by humans that helps us to make decisions about the most economic pathway to achieving certain outcomes, which are based on the goals that we individually and collectively set for ourselves as human beings. So the Global Unity Network that we're establishing is a network that includes platforms for delivering education, training, awareness raising, as well as delivering open idea and cultural exchange platforms, which are managed by the Global Unity Business Group on a virtual collaborative network that we're establishing through social media and internet-enabled International Unity Gardens Network nodes, which in turn supported the Unity Learning Network of educators who understand the importance of delivering programs of life value peace education in each of our local communities. So on the last page of our presentation, I just like to leave this final slide to show some sustainability guidelines. I leave this slide up on the screen for a few moments to let people read this. The guidelines were provided to us by Mike Nickerson of the 7th Generation Initiative and Sustainability Project, author of a book called Life, Money, and Illusion, Living on Earth as If We Wanted to Stay. And again, I'm putting in some information into the chat. But this concludes today's presentation, which was a little longer than normal. I want to recognize our guests again, starting with the women, and ask everyone to please put their contact information into the chat window as well, so that others on the call will have your contact information, especially if you are new to the Indigenous Global Unity Summit events and the Global Unity Network. So thank you very much, and we will now open it up to have a discussion today. Part of the reason we are having the discussion today is because our primary the person that we had actually tried to get on as a guest speaker today was unable to do so. So we had to change at the last minute yesterday evening, almost evening, afternoon. I didn't get acknowledgement from the person. So if anybody would like to introduce themselves, I'm seeing a very pretty face of Mariam Khan on the line. And I know that Stephanie was on the line earlier as well. So if either of the two would like to introduce themselves, that would be very much appreciated. Feel free to also raise your hand. Hello, Mariam.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for calling on this meeting. And I'm really happy to see so many logos from our platform available on the Unity group now. And I think so these are very proud moment for myself and for my platform that we are having a presence by our logos and by our platforms on this Unity network. Thank you so much to make us engage in this platform, and especially today's meeting. The joining purpose from my side is to discuss about and sharing about the International and Indigenous Women's Day Conference 2022, which is very close to implementation in March 2022. So I would suggest, and I am having a great request that we need to upload these promos and everything by your platform also, just to share with the people, because a lot of audience are saying your programs, they're watching your programs on Facebook and so many other social media pages. Like people are connecting with this network. So through this, we have a good opportunity to share about the international conference. And I think so within 1 or 2 days, we are having our own independent website also, which is purely related to the web, to the conference website. So people can easily register themselves over there, and they can get all kind of information on this website. So I think so rest of the details about Global Women's Development Network, Community Development Foundation, and all our other initiatives are very well known by the international community. But the international, yes, sir.
Excuse me, Miriam.
Yes.
Normally we have time for a longer presentation, but today we have another meeting that's coming up after this. So I'd ask you to set a time maybe next week to give us a complete presentation. But today, Lloyd has a particular agenda. So even before you go announcing the guest, Lloyd, I suggest you to address your agenda topic. And then if we have time, we can introduce the guests. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, sir. So this is the only purpose to joining this. And yes, we can have a separate meeting to discuss about the conference in about next week.
Yeah. We will definitely have a discussion, Mariam. Let's move forward on that. Part of the reason actually was, as Andrew mentioned, as we try to expand now to create what we call new continental chapters, as we did in Africa just these past weeks. We would like to also establish a subcontinental network, I suppose we can call it, for South Asia. where hopefully we can work with the UnityNet Pakistan and India and Bangladesh and Nepal and others, even establishing where we can now move forward to create a unity network for South Asia. And that is one of the, I think, the next steps. We will eventually want to create as well one for Southeast Asia, as an example, East Asia, and Europe, as I had mentioned, and had conversations with others, although they are, of course, lower priority than those developing economies, as well as here in the Americas, at Turtle Island Continental Network. We're going to base those continental networks on the work that's been done and continues to be done in Africa, which was the first continental network of the Global Network. So we'll try to use our learning from the African network to apply it as well to the South Asian network, and then move forward to establish the network, which is our first goal right now. Is just simply establish the network. We're not delivering any programs, but the faster we can establish the network, then the faster we can move forward.
So your agenda for today, Lloyd?
Well, the agenda for today was simply just to have conversations among those who may be willing to start continental networks, which may include, of course, Mariam and anybody else that may be on the call.
Excuse me if it is possible for me to introduce myself. My name is Irwan. My name is Irwan Rusli from USA, New Jersey. My program, I've been developing program relating with the alleviation of poverty, particularly in the area of rural, remote, and so poor area. And one particular I'm working right now is trying to provide some kind of guaranteed income system for poor farmer. But basically, we have some arrangement between the mini investor and the poor farmer, where the poor farmer is given a guaranteed income. So everything is provided by this mini investor, whether it is seeds or fertilizer and everything. And all the farmer need to do is to work on the land, and the result there was some distribution of the final profit in a very minimal for the investor, maybe none at all. So basically, the idea is actually social entrepreneurship. Could be completely all for the farmer. So depending on the arrangement. So I'm hoping that maybe one day I can present this in this forum, and that's what I'm hoping. My name is Irwan Rusli. I'm from Rusli Institute of Technology and Development. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I am connected to you as well on WhatsApp. And we will have a discussion, especially I think with our Unity Network finance team as well, to see if we can integrate what you're doing into the model for finance development. So yeah, I see as well.
Well, please put your contact information and if you have a website into the chat as well. We are streaming this on Facebook. If you like, there's a link up at the top that shows where we're streaming it. So anyone here can also post there so that the wider audience can get this information. Information in the chat is only for those of us here. So if you want to reach a wider audience, then please make sure you share it on the Facebook as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So I'm seeing as well the Namara has their hand up.
Yes, thank you very much. This is Namara Afa from Uganda. I'm the newly elected secretary for the UnityNet Uganda chapter that we recently formed. We had a meeting on 9th, just a day ago, which was attended by the Continental President, Professor Carlos Richard, and the Continental General Secretary, Njoroge. It was attended by mainly Ugandans, where we discussed the mission, vision, and objectives of UnityNet. Members were very excited and committed, showed commitment and interest to participate and further the objectives of UnityNet. We also had elections yesterday, right from the president up to the lower level, just a replica of the global structure of the positions. So we had the elections yesterday, and today we had a meeting where the results were declared by the Continental President and the General Secretary for the Continental, so Jane Njoroge. And maybe just 1 minute, we elected the president of the Uganda Charter, who is Bishop Isaac Ayodele, the Vice President Malaika Gabrieli, Secretary, it's me, Namara Afra, the Treasurer, Ashaba Hewa Catherine, and we are mindful of the regional representation of Uganda, and Assistant Treasurer Ngura Paulo Hosogo, Project Director Okite Ambrose, Assistant Project Director Eva Athieno, Media and Communication Bruno Odur, Assistant Media Vanessa Akelo, Executive Member Othieno Alex, Advisor, the first advisor Emmanuel Okumu, the second advisor Jack Tusime, the third advisor Chibi Stephen, and the person in charge of the Diaspora is Alex Makai. We still have 2 positions unfilled. That's the Assistant Secretary and the Diaspora female representative. I think we are going to work together with the President and the Continental President so that we can have these positions filled. The process is in progress to have our charter registered. We are already looking for an office space that can accommodate the Secretariat. That one is in progress. And we have also had some contribution towards the registration. Our President, Bishop, contributed $141 towards the registration process, of which we are very, very grateful. So we are going to be updating you. It's work in progress, but the enthusiasm is very high. And this presentation we have had today has really helped us even much more to understand the way forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Namara. We will, if it's possible, if you could put that list of the Uganda chapter leaders into the chat, then we could save that as well for the people who are on this call, so people can know those names that you listed, if that's possible.
Yeah.
For you to do so.
I will do that.
So I'm hoping that we only have about 4 or 5 minutes left on this call because we do need to cut short today. But I'm hoping that we can get.
Well, although as usual,
perhaps,
as sometimes happen, we have an overflow. So I've made an announcement for the group meeting afterwards that we'll be going over about 15 minutes. So I think it's important, since we have such an overflow group, that we give them the respect of their time. So we have another 20 minutes, not 5.
Oh, okay, excellent. So I was just going to be asking Stephanie to be talking, but I see Othenio is also putting up his hand. So Othenio or Othieno, would you like to unmute yourself? If you're unable to unmute yourself, Othenio Alex, perhaps I can have Stephanie. Oh, there we go. Okay. There.
Yes, I'm here, Alex. Hello.
It's a little bit broken up, but we can hear you.
My network is not good. I'm Tino Alex from Uganda, the team leader of Green Future Foundation. Hello.
Yeah, unfortunately, the line is not very good.
My network is not good. But I'm Alex from Uganda, the team lead of Green Future Foundation Uganda, executive member of UnityNet Uganda. I'm happy to join this platform. Today we had an election where they was told you. So I'm just, we have just caught fire. We have already found 2 houses for the office, so everything is moving well. So thank you, Lloyd, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm together, all you guys are together with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luciano. Perhaps again, if you haven't put your information to the chat, put it there as well. But I guess in the last few minutes, I'm just looking at who are the people on the call, and I normally see Stephanie Schuler, who is our leader for the Learning Network. I want everybody to know her.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored to be with everybody here. Thank you, Lloyd, and thank you, Andrew, and everybody who we see weekly, and all the new faces. I am Stephanie Schuler, and I'm in Toronto, Canada. I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm completing my doctoral studies at the University of Toronto, OISE, the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education, in holistic education and concerned about social and emotional well-being. I have spent a lifetime working with youth, children, women, and intergenerational communities in spaces inside and outside of the classroom, like youth groups, camps, community centers, elder centers, abled and differently abled communities. And that led me to becoming a learning and community design consultant. My degree in play led to the co-creation of the Maui Aloha Project Eco-Village Initiative that includes intergenerational communities who value holistic well-being of each other and the planet, and are concerned with housing and food security issues. We're aimed to transform through
Oops, seems that we have a network issue.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, it just blacked out for a minute.
No problem. We're everything that I do is about a growth-based design versus a deficit model design, like labeling and excluding. And my particular research focuses on the experience of having learning disabilities in school, which touches all children, unfortunately, all over the world being labeled. And that represents 20% of children, actually. And I believe that impresses on their social and emotional well-being into adulthood. The Eco-Village Initiative celebrates multiliteracies, honoring all of our identities and our Indigenous and cultural wisdoms from around the world. We're stewards of the earth, and we prioritize sustainable and regenerative food and housing and social solutions. I'm also a co-founder and co-chair of the Global Unity Network and co-founder and director of the Unity Learning Network, which is created for the purposes of addressing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals through communication and practical food systems learning. Thank you all for your dedication towards food and housing solutions and social solutions for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephanie. So I'm also seeing Jane is on our line. I'm hoping that she'll be able to unmute herself and talk a little bit about the work she's doing in Africa now with the establishment of the network.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here as always. And it's good to be on the platform and getting to see all the work that people are involved in order to uplift the community and especially the marginalized community. My name is Jane Joroge, and I reside in Nairobi, Kenya. Currently, I am the Secretary General of UnityNet Africa and Diaspora. I'm also a part of UnityNet Kenya, whereby we are on the line of doing our elections for the board members that are going to represent Kenya. And I also work with an organization called Tukatane EV Kenya, whereby we have our headquarters in Germany, and our Continental headquarters is in Zambia. I am the vice chairperson of Tukatane EV Kenya, and I'm also the chairperson of Tukatane Women Empowerment Program. What we are doing is that we are going back to the rural woman, because most of the time we realize that we concentrate more on the urban woman, but the gap between the urban woman and the rural woman is very wide. So for us, we are trying to bridge the gap. And when we look at the rural woman, the asset they have is the land. So if we can teach them how to utilize the land to lift up their social and economic status, it's going to change and empower them and develop them in many areas. We are also going to offer them quality education, and in Tukatane, we actually target 80% youth and 20% adults, and we offer agribusiness and entrepreneurship classes. Right now, we are doing them virtually, but with time, I know we are going to have physical structures whereby they can do their classes physically, and they are really doing great. Most of the African youth are very idle, and they leave the village and they come to the urban center, whereby because of lack of employment, they turn into crimes. But when we teach them to go back to the village and utilize the land that is offered to them, or rather that is available to them, they can be able to make a living with it. So I thank God for what UnityNet is all about, because I believe it is gonna take us a mileage, and it's gonna make Africa great when we put everything into practice. So it is an honor and a pleasure to be aboard. God bless UnityNet, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. I think one of what my suggestion would be is to have you and some other women from the UnityNet Africa and Diaspora group as well join the Global Women's Development Network with Mariam, who's also on the call, earlier talked. And I think that having these global discussions as well will hopefully open up opportunities and open up new ideas for you as well. Because this is all about exchange of ideas and collaborating to ensure that we all are achieving success. So as well, I see Gabriela is on the line, and I'm hoping in the last, we still have about 10 minutes according to what Andrew had said earlier, and I'm just looking at the list of people that are on the line, and Gabriela, I know as well, is part of the UnityNet Africa and Diaspora group. If Gabriela is unable to unmute herself.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yes. Thank you everyone for this time. I'm called Gabriela Malaika Ligami. I'm from Uganda. I'm happy to be part of the Unity Network group. The recent appointed positions for Unity Network at the Secretariat I'm part of the board members, the vice president at the Secretariat. At the continental level, I serve as the Continental Treasury. And I'm also the CEO of an organization that caters and advocates for the elder women and the children under their care in Uganda and in East Africa as well. I am happy to be here, and I believe this is just the beginning, and it's our time as Africans to do what we have to do best. I'm believing that the best is yet to come. Only when we believe at what we can deliver best, as the Unity Network Africa, we believe from the bottom to top rule. So we are going to work hand in hand with the local community, the bottom to top rule, and we see that we achieve the vision of UnityNet Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Lloyd. Thank you so much, our president, Mr. Carlos. And thank you so much, our president at the Secretariat, Bishop Ayodele, for leading us well. Thank you so much. That's all from my end.
Thank you, Gabriela. Actually, I'm just seeing now as well, Carlos, or we usually start with the women, and I'm seeing Ali Touré as well. If she would like to have a short talk or introduction for herself as well. Or we can have Carlos come on if you would like to speak, because it has been very active in these last week. Since our last IGU Summit event last Thursday, so much has happened in Africa as we've developed these networks. And Carlos has been at the center of it all. I just would like to have him on the line if that is possible at all before we run out of time. I know that sometimes the internet connection can be a little bit slow.
Hello.
Hello, Carlos.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening from Sierra Leone. My name is Carlos Richard Shankar. I am the Continental President for UnityNet Africa, and also the CEO for Focus on Rural Development in Sierra Leone, Liberia, Banjul, and other countries. And I'm also the representative for IC University and Eco Village, Global Social Business Partnership in Africa, International Institute of Tears in India. So basically, there are a lot of responsibilities around me, but in summary, because so for the people, and also I'm an old person here, like Lloyd. So I want to give chance to people, so that especially the new people, to introduce themselves. But so far, what Lloyd is saying, we've been for the past two and a half weeks, we've been very much busy fixing up UnityNet Africa, and the subset of UnityNet Africa, which is a country chapter to ensure that we have the UnityNet Africa everywhere in Africa. So we have a lot of new chapters that are coming or that are emerging right now. And we are preparing for our induction and orientation meeting, which is proposed for Tuesday, the 16th of November. It's going to be 11 o'clock East Pacific time for Canada and America. And it's going to be 4 o'clock for Sierra Leone and 7 o'clock for East Africa and other parts of Africa. So that is the plan. So myself and my team, we are working assiduously to ensure that we actualize our plans. Thank you so much, and I'm happy that we are getting some representations. Already we are identifying key people that are working assiduously to ensure that they join us through the global Unity Network for us to propagate or ensure that the whole world reaches or gets a feeling of unity net. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carlos. So looks like we only have about 3 minutes. If anybody has not spoken, would like to speak, I'm seeing Philbert Kato has his hands up. Philbert, would you like to unmute yourself?
Lloyd, I was just
And say a few
notified that
words?
the other team is waiting to get in, so we need to wrap this up today. I apologize.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew. I'm glad that we had a few extra minutes for some people to have their time. So thank you, everybody, once more for joining the Indigenous Global Unity Summit. Again, this is week 24, or 23, I should say, of the IGU Summit series. We will be back next week, and I thank everybody for their time. Good night, or good day, depending on where you are.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us.